Hi, welcome back. It's been about 10 days since my last post, and during that time I switched my venues for where I'm doing my rotation now. So just to start at the beginning, I mentioned last time I was going to be in the Psych ER, so I did that. It was actually pretty uneventful. So it was just your standard suicidal ideations and no plan even. She was just really anxious. So it was nice because basically I just had to do one patient intake. So I got there and this patient had arrived maybe 15 minutes before I came. So I didn't even have to wait. I just walked in. I didn't have to do her vitals. The nurses had already done it. I just walked in, interviewed her for maybe 45 minutes, wrote up this really quick thing and turned it in, and that was about it. So it was pretty chill. And then Friday was my last day on inpatient. Inpatient means people who are actually hospitalized, so they're not allowed to go home, kind of a thing, and that applies not only to psych but all of medicine, just FYI. So Friday was my last day on inpatient, and that was interesting because we finally did all the Reese hearings. So remember I was talking about that woman last time, and I filled out the legal paperwork. This was the actual product of that paperwork, and it was interesting because it was just the psychiatrist, the patient, a patient advocate, and this lawyer that we brought in from outside who was kind of the judge. And it was all conducted on site. We didn't go to a courthouse or anything. The psychiatrist talked about his point of view and why he felt the patient needed medications. And then the patient had an opportunity to present her side of it and why she felt she didn't need medications. She got a little bit too agitated while he was testifying to complete her own testimony. So there was also a psychiatric attendant that used to be called orderlies back in the day, had to lead her out, and so it was all up to the patient advocate, and ultimately it was decided that she needed medications. What was interesting about that whole process, what presents kind of an interesting ethical dilemma, if you ask me, is that just like any legal proceeding, you're entitled to an appeal, but mandatorily the appeal occurs at a minimum of 2 business days after the original hearing. So because this was on Friday, right before Labor Day weekend, that means we could medicate her Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then the earliest she would have gotten a hearing is Wednesday. And as it turns out, she was too upset after hearing the verdict to request that kind of a hearing. So that means Thursday at the beginning, assuming at the earliest, assuming she got her act together by Tuesday. So I was a little uncomfortable with that. You know, one hearing from not even from a judge, and that means, 5 days of mandatory medications. I don't know, it was a little bit iffy, if you ask me. But like I said before, she really, really, really needed those medicines. So, I mean, what can you do? Good news in this country, they don't taking away people's rights for granted. So there's always a procedure that you can look up. There's a proceeding that they have to follow. And so it is what it is. So that was my last day on inpatient. And I was a little sad to be leaving. On Tuesday, I started at C&L, Consult and Liaison, at the local county hospital. And basically what that entails is, let's just say theoretically there's a person who has been hospitalized for chest pain. And after they're hospitalized, they start getting really confused and talking about voices or acting out at nurses or, talking about killing themselves. The internal med team puts in a request for a consult from the psych team. Psych team goes up and takes a look at them and basically gives their opinion about A, what's wrong, and B, what kind of medications they need. What I just found out yesterday, though, is that we make all these recommendations, and they're just recommendations. The internal med team has no obligation to follow them, which is annoying because psychiatry is kind of a particular field, and the internal med team can just decide to lower something at their discretion. And where that becomes annoying is, like, for example, we've got this one woman. She's been delirious for 10 days, almost 2 weeks now, which is a pretty long time to be delirious. It's usually a pretty bad sign in terms of complications. And we had recommended this certain dose of an antipsychotic for her, and the internal med team decided on their own that she needed less than that. And so now she's been there for 10 days, and nobody who gets admitted to the county hospital is rich. Like, basically you end up there if you've got nowhere else to go. So she probably doesn't have insurance. She doesn't speak English, so she probably doesn't have any kind of social security or anything like that. She's pretty young, but I don't think she was working. Basically, for those 10 days that she's been under medicated, she's going to have to pay $50,000. And that's kind of not cool if they're not even going to be treating her the way a psychiatrist is recommending her they treat her if her main problem is psychiatric at this point. So it's annoying. There's a lot of waste in the system, a lot of it, which becomes so apparent at the county hospital. I'm sure I have an internal medicine next, and I'm sure you'll all be hearing a lot about that as time goes on. It's kind of a pet issue of mine, health reform and all that kind of stuff. So prepare yourselves, I suppose. Yeah, consult liaison's okay. I don't like it as much as I liked inpatient. You don't get as much patient contact. The problems are, I suppose, more interesting medically. And you think about things differently. So, you know, everybody's got underlying medical problems, so that also kind of complicates the picture. And you also start thinking about these medicines that are used in a wide variety of situations in a completely different way. So, for example, beta blockers that we use for pretty much everything cardiovascular can cause depression. Who knew? And it's kind of cool to be picking up those excess tidbits of information that that otherwise wouldn't have come through. Also, it's really nice to be on CNL right now because, like I said, I am going to be starting medicine in another 2 weeks. And so I'm kind of getting used to the county paperwork and the layout of this ginormous hospital that I'm going to be spending the following 6 weeks in. And it's kind of a nice lead-in to the way things are going to be in my next rotation. And you still do see those funny things that you used to see in inpatient. For example, we got this one patient. He was brought in because he was in a fight with God. God's been talking to him for like 3 years now, something like that, and God had been calling him gay, so he got really mad and hit a passerby and was brought into the hospital. Not so much fun for the passerby, I suppose, but it's kind of a funny story. So yeah, things are good. Things are nice. CNL will work for the next 2 weeks. My resident, or I have an attending now. No, I have a resident. The attending's at the top of the pyramid, resident comes next, and then there's me. So it's kind of cool to be on a team with a resident and just figure out how all those power structures work and what have you. A lot of the psychiatrists that are working at county are really cool too. So it was a good week, and I think it'll be a good couple of weeks. And like I said, a nice introduction to county. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed psychiatry, but I really don't think I'm going to specialize in it, and I've got various reasons for that. You know, I want to do more than just patient care. I want to do, like I said, the healthcare reform. I want to get into that whole thing, and international medicine too. Really interested in both those fields. So psychiatry is really a bad platform for both of them. So I'm probably not going to go into it. So anyway, that was my life the last 10 days. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back in 2 weeks after psychiatry is done, after my end of the rotation exam. It's called a shelf exam, is done. And yeah, I'll be seeing you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.